Yo, what's going on YouTube? It's your boy Mario and I'm back again with another video, man. Today, as you can see, man, we are reacting to non-stop players who weren't supposed to make the NBA. But I'm gonna just go ahead and get straight to it, man. Let's get it.
Played at least one NBA game. In all 77 years of NBA history, less than 5,000 players have ever suited up in an NBA jersey. More people have climbed Mount Everest, 6,338, or been struck by lightning than there are NBA
Climbing
players.
Mount Everest
so it's safe
is
to say that
wild.
making it to the NBA is one of the hardest things to do. But there are some players whose road to the league is so unbelievably tough that making it to the NBA was an absolute miracle. When Jimmy Butler was just 13 years old,
Oh, yeah, I
his mother
know
kicked
this.
him out of the house. I don't like the look of you. You gotta go.
Like,
Those
bro, that's crazy, bro. Why would you say that to your child, bro? Oh, because you what?
last words Butler heard from his mother
The
before he
freak,
became
man?
homeless. And over the next few years, Jimmy wandered the streets, couch surfed in countless houses, and played basketball. After a three-point shooting competition against a ninth-grade football player named Jordan Leslie, the two became best friends, and Jordan invited Jimmy to stay at his house. But Jordan's mom, Michelle Lambert, wasn't too happy about Jimmy staying over. She had 7 kids, so money and living space in her house were pretty tight. However, all her kids loved Jimmy, so soon he moved in permanently and became a member of the family. With newfound stability, Butler could focus all his energy on basketball. But to say that he was highly recruited would be a lie, because his only option was to play at junior community college, where scouts don't go unless somebody starts putting up 30 points per game. And Jimmy knew that. So that's precisely what he did. After dominating his freshman season, Butler had offers from 6 Division I colleges. He chose Marquette, and he sent the letter of intent from the local McDonald's. Still, the road to the NBA wasn't certain, and it took Jimmy 3 years at Marquette to finally work his way onto the NBA radar. Then, finally, after life as an outsider, Jimmy made it as the 30th pick in the 2011 NBA draft. But while Jimmy went from homeless to the NBA, this next
Nice, man, that's
superstar
nice.
made it after nearly starving to death.
Watching them playing, coming to NBA, moving all around.
I forgot Giannis was an actor, bro. That's
NBA,
crazy.
This next superstar made it after nearly starving.
That's freaking wild, bro.
Championship and everything. I was saying this is going to take us to a greater place in the future.
See, back in 2007,
Nice.
Giannis Antetokounmpo was selling fake sunglasses on the streets of Athens in Greece. And if anybody told you that he was going to become the NBA MVP, you'd laugh in their face. Giannis would laugh too, because after all, he didn't even play basketball. At the time, Giannis was a skinny 13-year-old who only ate once a day, sometimes twice, if he managed to sell enough sunglasses. But when a basketball coach named Spiros Valeniadis saw his long arms and legs, there was no doubt in his mind that he was looking at a future basketball
They shot
superstar.
the Spyro's
Getting discovered was just the
villain.
beginning of Giannis's tough journey. Because Giannis didn't have much to eat, he was selling trinkets on the streets until he was 17, playing in the same pair of socks and shoes that he shared with his brother. And even after
crazy.
5 years of walking more than an hour to each practice and often sleeping in the gym, Giannis was still a malnourished, skinny kid and a virtual nobody who played in the third-tier Greek league. Then, in 2012, Giannis's life
Started getting
was about to
stronger.
change because he finally had an agent. And in
go,
2013,
man.
the NBA scouts would discover that long name they couldn't pronounce. Then, a few months later, against all odds, NBA Commissioner David Stern managed to pronounce it correctly.
Yeah,
But 2 years before
that's
Giannis got
crazy.
drafted,
And Giannis, he came a long way, bro. He was sharing socks and shoes with his own brother in the same basketball game. If his brother would come in and he would sub out, they would swap. I'm saying he done got his brothers to the NBA and all, bro. W Giannis, bro.
a tragic family story. It was Kawhi Leonard, who could have chosen a career in the NFL or easily quit sports altogether. Because his parents were divorced and his mom couldn't take him to basketball practice, Kawhi couldn't play basketball as a high school freshman. His father, Mark, wanted him to play only football. But Kawhi's love for the game of basketball was stronger than anything. However, just 2 years later, this love almost died with the sound of a gunshot. Kawhi was on his way to a basketball game when he got the call. As Mark Leonard was closing up his car wash, a stranger pulled up and fired numerous shots at Kawhi's dad, killing him on the spot. Emotionally shattered,
Dang, bro.
Kawhi changed that day and became a closed-off, introverted person that rarely talked.
And that's probably why he's so quiet now, bro. Probably had like a very, very close relationship with his father. So just stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? Stuff like that could have a big effect on somebody's life, and you just never know, man. You know what I'm saying? Whether if it's losing a loved one or, you feel me, anything, bro. So you just never know what somebody could be going through at all. You never know, man.
24 hours after the death of his father, Kawhi suited up to play a game in his honor. And he had a very good game, finishing with 17 points. As soon as the game ended, Kawhi broke down crying in his mother's arms. After his father's death, Kawhi worked out harder than ever. And despite being only the 48th ranked player in the country, he received a scholarship to San Diego State, where he continued to hustle, coining a famous phrase about rebounding: bored man gets paid.
Boardman gets
His
paid.
behavior and his movements were robotic. The NBA scouts were drooling at his physical attributes: extremely long arms and gigantic hands. So, after years of sacrifice, he finally got drafted and made his father proud. But the 2011 draft had another player who succeeded against all odds.
Isaiah Thomas.
And unlike Kawhi, Isaiah Thomas never had anyone drooling over his size. Okay, maybe he did.
Bro, pause, bro. Pause.
Isaiah was a basketball fanatic all his life, but he always was the smallest player on every court. As a high school freshman, he stood just 5'3". So
5'3"
everywhere
is
he went,
crazy.
they told him that he wouldn't make it. Even his parents tried to push him away from basketball, saying he was wasting his time. But a few hard fouls were doing nothing to Isaiah's self-belief. He'd always pick himself up.
That's
and
crazy,
continue playing.
bro.
Still, he was so desperate to grow that he even bought a machine that
Like,
stretched
bro,
him out.
your own parents telling you you're wasting your time while you're trying to, like, really go for your dream is crazy, bro. I'll be hurt, and that's low-key how it was with basketball. Like, if I had the motivation that he had, bro, I would have probably been in the league right now. But I had no motivation. I literally let any bad thing or any bad comment literally get to my head, bro. People was calling me trash, garbage. Oh, bro. People was telling me, yo, I don't need to be playing basketball. You're never gonna make the team. Stuff like that, bro. You're not gonna make it to the league. That junk crazy, bro. And I still get these type of comments when I'm doing YouTube. I just ignore it now. You know what I'm saying? I don't say nothing to it. Don't let the negative comments get to you. Don't even worry about them at all. They just hate. So as long as you keep pushing towards the success, you got it.
And another one where he'd hang upside down. However, the results were mediocre. Isaiah did eventually grow to 5'9", and while he was a standout high school player, nobody believed that he'd make the NBA. Except him. All the trash talk and naysayers kept him in the gym and made him work even harder. And after several March Madness appearances at the University of Washington, Thomas declared for the 2011 draft, where he was selected last. When he got drafted, IT was interviewed by just one reporter, as everyone believed Thomas would be just a fun little draft story that nobody's going to remember in 3 years. But just like he did all his life, IT proved everyone wrong. And 3 years later, he was averaging 20 points per game for the Kings.
That's
And 3
good.
years after that, he averaged 29. And made
29.
the second team All-NBA, becoming the shortest player
That's
ever with that
crazy.
honor. And compared to Isaiah, this next point guard had excellent size, strength, and athleticism. But his
Bro, why the
problem
freak
wasn't
is it
physical.
glitching,
His
bro?
point
Bro,
guard
oh
had
my
excellent
gosh, man.
size, so problematic that they called him Crazy J. His real name was John Wall, and he
Crazy
had one
J.
of the most unbelievable roads to the NBA. See, John grew up without a father, who was serving time in prison for second-degree murder. When John was 9, his father was released because he had a terminal illness. But 1 month later, just as John started to love having his father back in his life, he passed away.
Damn. Damn.
Right in front of him. This filled John with anger and rage, and he became a wild child. So he began committing petty crimes. And by the time he turned 13, he graduated to stealing cars. Wall was a super talented basketball player, and it was his only hope of staying out of temper.
forgot he
got
went to
kicked
freaking
off
Word of
every
God.
team he played
That's
for.
crazy.
As a high school junior, John had already changed schools 3 times because of his foul mouth and cussing out coaches. But then,
That's crazy.
one moment changed his life
That's
forever.
wild,
His
bro.
mother spent her last dollar to buy John new basketball shoes and send him to an AAU tournament. As a result, she couldn't pay for electricity, and the whole family was in the dark for a few days just so he could play basketball. But her sacrifice
W
finally
mom.
knocked some sense into John, who vowed to take basketball seriously. Crazy J was gone, and John started playing with much more discipline. As a senior, he averaged 20 points, 9 assists, and 8 rebounds per game, and was ranked as the #1 player
That's
in the
nice.
country. However, despite his success, it was hard for him to get rid of old habits. Wall and his friend were charged with breaking into an abandoned home during his senior year, and Wall avoided prison because it was his first recorded felony. And thanks to his immense talent, Wall was still able to get a scholarship, and he joined Kentucky with DeMarcus Cousins, Eric Bledsoe, and Patrick Patterson. Wall led the Wildcats in scoring and assists, averaging 16 and 6 with 2 steals. And even though he lost in the Elite Eight, John was still considered the most talented collegiate player and was selected first overall in the 2010 draft by the Washington Wizards.
That's nice. That's freaking nice.
There was another talented point guard who hoped to get drafted, but it never happened.
Linsanity
had to do with his ethnicity. He was Asian, and he played at Harvard.
I was born the middle child of Asian immigrants. I graduated from Harvard with a major in economics and a minor in sociology.
Now, Asian kids from Harvard usually have a lot of job opportunities, but not as a player in the NBA. And Jeremy Lin wanted to break that mold. After he was one of the best high school players in California, Lin didn't get a single Division I offer. So he went to Harvard, where he dominated again, averaging 17 points and 5 assists with excellent shooting splits. But during the draft process, he was stereotyped again, and nobody wanted to draft a skinny Asian point guard. Lin eventually signed with the Warriors as an undrafted player, but still, he barely got any playing time and was soon cut. So he took his chances with the Rockets. But it was
that jump messed up, bro. Like, why, bro?
It was over until it happened. In 2012, the Knicks were plagued by injuries, and especially thin at that
That was
point.
when freaking what's his face got hurt. Forgot his
the Knicks were
name.
plagued by injuries, and
Forgot his freaking
especially
name.
thin at that point guard spot. So Lin got one more chance, and he erupted for 25 points and 7
I think the
assists.
dude had
And
broke his knee or
got
something
one more
like that.
chance,
That jump
and he
crazy.
erupted for 25 points and 7 assists. In the next game,
that's
he had
good.
28 and 8, and the game after that, 23 and 10. Then came the game against Kobe and the Lakers, where Lin
I remember this.
38 points.
Bro was
After
going
the
crazy, bro.
biggest sports story in America. Lin's sanity was
Freaking Linsanity run was different, bro. No cap, bro. You just had to be there, bro.
And Jeremy became one of the most popular athletes on the planet. Just 2 weeks after he slept on a friend's couch and feared getting cut from the NBA. But while Lin's basketball story was full of ups and downs, Dwayne Wade's whole life was full of ups and downs. And the ups weren't so frequent. Dwayne's mother was a drug addict, and he spent his early life in close vicinity to bags and needles. Police breaking into his home and taking his mom away was a common occurrence for Dwayne, and it wasn't surprising that his mom lost custody. At the age of 8, Wade moved in with his father, but life didn't get much better because his dad lived in one of the most dangerous Chicago neighborhoods. So he was forced to live in constant fear of guns and violence, and the only refuge he had was basketball. Still, despite his talent, Wade struggled at school and wasn't getting any scholarships. Finally, as a senior, Wade received a scholarship from Marquette, where he blossomed into one of the best shooting guards in the country, and then got selected 5th overall in the famous 2003 NBA draft.
With the 5th pick in the 2003 NBA draft, the Miami Heat...
Dwayne Wade.
And there was another guy who was drafted 2
Oh,
spots
glad.
ahead of Wade in the 2003 draft who also shared
Melo.
a similar life story. Carmelo Anthony grew up without a father, and at the age of 10, he and his mom moved to Baltimore, one of the most crime-infested
Oh yeah, that
cities in
jump
the
bad,
US.
bro.
Due to drugs and street life,
Bro,
Melo
Baltimore and Philly is probably up there with Chicago, bro. No cap, bro. I'm not even cap,
lost
bro.
his first cousin, his stepdad, and
Dang.
many of his friends. So after he got cut from his high school basketball team as a freshman, it looked like Carmelo would follow the same path. But a sudden growth spurt turned Melo into a 6'8" beast. And his basketball skills allowed him to transfer to Oak Hill Academy, away from all the troubles in Baltimore. There he became one of the highest-ranked players in the country, later an NCAA champion with Syracuse, and the 3rd overall pick in the 2003 draft.
Nice.
If making it to the NBA is hard for Americans, it's 10 times harder to do if you're born in Africa, which has poor basketball infrastructure and little basketball history. While there were some famous basketball players from Africa, like Hakeem, Manute Bol, or Dikembe Mutombo, they were the exception and not the norm.
Don't forget Joel Embiid.
16 years old, he was already
Yes.
a 7-footer.
Joel
but
Embiid.
He was tall for nothing.
Yeah.
He had never played basketball in his life. And then, because of his height, Joel got invited
think he was
to the
playing
basketball
soccer or
camp of
something.
Mba Amute, who was a second-year player for the Bucks. But to say that Embiid was good would be a lie, and to say that he was bad would be an understatement. Joel was flat out terrible, but Luke didn't want to give up on him. So he sent Joel to Florida to polish his basketball skills. But when Embiid got
nice.
there, he was mocked by his teammates for a complete lack of basketball fundamentals. After a few months, Embiid was kicked off the team, and it seemed like his basketball journey was over. However,
that's
this
crazy.
made him work harder. And in a few years, Joel started dominating and got a scholarship to Kansas. And some 13 years after he first touched a basketball, Embiid became the NBA MVP and one of the most skilled big men in basketball history.
Yes, it almost made me cry, bro. Okay, W video, man. W nonstop, man. That's all I gotta say. But hope y'all enjoy this video, and I'll see y'all next, man. Peace.